Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hello and welcome to The Print at the Movies. Today we'll be reviewing Amazon Prime Video's new offering, Shakuntala Devi. Genius, mental calculator, author, astrologer, one-time political hopeful who ran for elections against Indira Gandhi. Of all the things that Shakuntala Devi was and has been called, perhaps the most interesting is human computer. Because while it is often said that a computer can never be wrong, although there is a scene in the movie in which she proves it can be, the fact is that Shakuntala is human. And that means that, like all of us, she's often wrong. It is this human, flawed aspect of her that director Menon brings out. Menon and her co-writer, Nainika Mehtani, had extensive meetings with Shakuntala Devi's real-life daughter, Anupama Banerjee. And the story is told from her perspective. But this is no ordinary mother-daughter relationship. It's fraught with resentment, tension, pain, and rage. The movie begins in London in 2001, where Anupama, played by Sanya Malhotra, has filed a criminal case against her mother, Shakuntala Devi, played by Vidya Balan, for trying to destroy her financially. The scene then shifts to Bangalore of 1934, where a 5-year-old Shakuntala is able to get to the cube root of an 8-digit number within seconds. When it becomes clear that this is no fluke, her circus lion tamer father takes her around to various local schools. Not for admission, but to make money off her math shows, that is, where people throw challenges at her and she solves them. She wants to go to school for real, but money is tight. And when tragedy strikes, little Shakuntala vows that she will never forgive or be like her mother, who she thinks is weak. She works so hard to not be like her mother that decades later, her own daughter will swear that she never wants kids because she is so afraid of being a mother just like Shakuntala. This is a far cry from the nurturing maternal instinct that mothers in Bollywood are usually shown to have. Unfortunately, that freshness is undone by a weak script, forced and simplistic feminism, and a Vidya Balan who is, well, slightly OTT, pun intended. The movie swings between 1934 and the 2000s, with detours in no particular order to 1954, 1978, 1998, 1970, and so on. The non-linear timeline is jarring and leaves you with very little time to settle into one scene before it jumps to another. Also, too much time is spent showing Shakuntala at math shows to drive home the point of just how much of a genius she actually is, without ever having gone to school. By the time she's done performing her dozenth mental calculation correctly, you feel as if you're back in a high school math class. It's the same kind of headache. These scenes also come at the cost of other aspects of her life, such as how she managed to get away from Bangalore and move to London on her own, and how her relationship with her parents soured even further. And the last 20 minutes are painfully melodramatic, undercutting all the earlier refreshing novelty. There are some lovely scenes, such as when Shakuntala moves into a guest house in London and tells the men who live there that she shot a man's ear off, or her relationship with her mentor, Javier. But these scenes just don't come together. What the film does brilliantly, though, is show Shakuntala with all her warts. This is no hagiography, as Bollywood biopics tend to be. Think of Sanju or MS Dhoni. Vidya Balan's Shakuntala is brutally selfish and self-absorbed, to the point of near delusion. It's surprising, for example, that someone who resented her parents not sending her to school doesn't send her own daughter to school either, preferring instead to take her along on all her math shows across the world, because she can't bear to be without her. When her husband Paritosh, played by a wonderfully understated Jishu Sengupta, says that he cannot give up his life to tag along after her on her math shows and that their child deserves a stable home, she turns it into a feminist issue, saying that, well, the world would expect her to follow him around if the roles were reversed. This is true, except that he's not the one who has these expectations of her, so for her to turn the tables on him purely to make that point seems rather unnecessary. The film has a lot of these moments that feel inauthentic and planted solely to drive home a feminist point. The feminism would be great if there was some nuance to it, but here it seems more like Shakuntala's excuse to get exactly what she wants. However, while the endless messaging is tiring, what these scenes do achieve is the idea that this is not your typical Hindi film heroine whom you root for all the time, because she's a heroine who's often deeply unlikable, and that in itself is an achievement. This is Samira Sood for The Print.